I can just.
You want me to move? Or you talk?
Everything's good.
Yeah, so this is a little bit different than the stuff I normally upload to the channel. But I'll say this, if you're into the paranormal, then you may enjoy this video. As you guys, I'm sure are already aware, my name is Richard DeLuce. This is my father, Stephen DeLuce, over here, and his old studio mate, Andy Shecky. I didn't butcher that, did it?
No, it's fine.
All right, yeah. So all three of us, and actually many more than that, but all three of us have experienced some very weird goings-ons in their old art studio, to put it lightly. And but like I've had one particular experience that I want to share when the time comes. But these guys are the two authorities, the main authorities on the subject, because it was affecting them the most. I'm gonna be behind the camera most of the time, just making sure the battery doesn't run out and making sure the camera doesn't overheat, shut off, or anything stupid like that. So I'm not sure where you guys even want to begin.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, it's all good.
I would say it was probably October, maybe November of 2006 is when I moved into that studio space, which is located on, oh gosh, where is it? Across
Broadway and Jones.
Broadway and Jones, the old Southern Music Building,
Yeah.
across the street from Maverick Park. Our studio, I wish I could remember the number, 30 something, 304, 3, I can't remember the number of it.
It escapes me.
Upstairs on the third floor, we had a studio space, about 750 square feet, had one door to get in and out, and it had a window that faced some old apartments that are now torn down behind that one window.
It was an old crank out style.
Was it a north-facing window?
Yeah.
Is what it was. And one particular day, I was in the studio by myself painting. I had my music on. The CD player actually was playing. And suddenly the volume went all the way up, and it startled me. I went, whoa! It was just really loud as the thing would go. So I cranked the volume slowly down. And I said, whew, that was something. And I just kept painting. And then, within maybe 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes maybe, the volume went all the way down to nothing. I thought, well, gee, that's odd. I haven't seen that before. So I turned the volume back up. I had a dial for the volume. And you remember that system. It had a big dial on it.
Right.
And then I just went about my day painting. Nothing else happened with the volume. But I think it was the next morning, you and Yvette, who also shared the space with us at the time, were there, and I asked, hey guys, have you noticed anything peculiar about my radio? And you said, no, your volume. And then I explained that the volume had gone up like it did, and it went down in the fashion that it did. And you guys, no, you hadn't seen anything happen with that. And I said, okay, well, I just thought it was peculiar. And then I guess it was a couple of days later.
Yeah.
Didn't you say?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think within the week, we ran into each other again at the studio, and I told Steve that a similar thing happened to me. The volume went all the way down very slowly.
Yeah.
So I turned it back to the volume I was listening at, and it went up. So the same thing happened to me in reverse.
Isn't that wild? And you told me about that the next time that we discussed this. So we knew, okay, something's a little weird going on with the radio. And we started thinking, well, we have KLRN, the public radio station just up the street. It was just up the street from us, not very far. And we're not that terribly far from Fort Sam Houston. We were thinking, well,
interference.
Maybe interference or something with, you explained it away with some technical anomaly. And I started thinking, well, maybe it could even be a cockroach or some bug in the back there that, interrupted a circuit or something.
Chewing up the innards of the stereo.
But it did seem peculiar that it happened to both of us and in reverse like that. So then I guess it was, and we may have the sequence of these things off a little bit, so because we're pulling this up from our memory.
That's fine.
we noticed that, we had, the way we were set up is Andy was in the back next to the refrigerator on the same wall as where the window is on the north side. And Yvette worked in that same area opposite him on the other wall. And then I was a little bit further up, not quite to the midpoint of the room. But we were all in that back half of the studio. The front half is what we use as a gallery space.
Right.
So anyway, and I don't know if I have this wrong or right, but you had turned off your light, I think, right? You turned off the lamp that we use to see when we're painting, that shines on the canvases. And we'd be in the front area talking, and we noticed that the light was on.
Right.
Didn't you turn that off?
Yeah.
And you said, well, yeah.
I did.
Good, but then you question yourself, right? You think,
Maybe
I didn't.
Yeah.
That's what you think. So this time, when you go turn it off, you know it's off, right?
Yeah. I had to start making a mental note of it.
You had to make a mental note. And so this started happening to us with the lights, and we're noticing, man, something's going on with our electrical system. We're still not willing to say there's anything. It's unusual, but we're not thinking it's anything that might be paranormal, just some electrical anomalies. So we were going to have some, if memory serves you, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to have some track lights put in.
Yes.
To do additional light in our studio, so we had enough on both walls to light paintings on the wall. So we were having an electrician come up. We thought, well, since the electrician is coming, we'll ask him, hey, while you're here, could you check our circuits and see if there's something wrong with our circuits? And we explained what had happened with the lights and the radio and all that, and thought, okay, so he checked everything out. He checked the circuit breakers, he checked everything checked out fine. Look, there's nothing wrong with your electrical system, everything is fine. So okay, so we sort of chalked that up to memory, nothing wrong with the electrical. And we noticed again, did you turn that light off? And the light would be on.
Yeah.
We don't know how long would you say that kind of stuff went on, just the electrical?
Oh, geez. Before it ramped up.
A few weeks, a couple of weeks, a few weeks maybe?
2 or 3 weeks.
Then one day, we had a little coffee table in the front part. And Andy and I, we were the only ones in the studio at the time. We were getting ready to depart to go grab some lunch or something. We were departing.
We often did that.
Yeah, we often did it. We were going to go grab something up Broadway, grab some lunch. He's about, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14 feet away from this little black coffee table. And I'm a few feet from it. And on the surface of that coffee table was a penny. A little penny that had a little bit of corrosion on it. So remember that? It had a little bit of that
Kind of
green oxidized corrosion on this penny. So we recognized this penny. It's sitting on the table. We're standing there yapping, getting ready to go, and all of a sudden, the penny jumped off the table under its own power and rolled across the floor. I was startled. The hairs on my neck stood up. I looked at Andy. I go, "Did you see that?" And he goes, "Did you see that?" And we kept saying that to each other. His face was white as snow. I'm sure I was white as snow. We couldn't believe that. We're like, our jaws were hanging open because we just witnessed this penny move under its own power. I mean, defying the laws of physics. So I reached down and I picked up the penny. I was a little reluctant to touch it, but I picked it up,
Put it back.
set it back on the table, and we're looking at that penny. This time, it shot like a bullet.
Yeah, it
Bam!
cracked the door.
It
Yeah.
hit the door like a bullet. It was like bam, and we're like, whoa! It was as though it was saying, yeah, you did see what you thought you just saw.
Your eyes didn't deceive you.
Your eyes did not deceive you. So whatever this was, it did it again for us to demonstrate that, yeah, you really did see what you think you just saw. That is the moment that we realized, holy crap, we've got something going on here. Something paranormal, outside of the normal. Objects, physical objects don't move like that without any means of propulsion. I mean, right?
Yeah.
This thing just took off and hit the wall. That's the moment we knew. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first time we saw an object animated like that.
Exactly.
Anything that we saw prior to that was kind of static.
Yeah,
This refrigerator door
that's right.
would be open, or the freezer door would be open. We wouldn't see it in the act of opening.
No, we would just see it all the way open.
It appeared as though it had been opened, but
Yeah.
it was still. It was not moving. I would feel a draft because I painted near it. I was actually right in front of the sink where we washed our brushes, and the refrigerator was a few feet to the right.
Or left.
Or,
Right.
yeah, depending on
Depending on where
you're
facing,
standing.
yeah.
And I would feel cold, and I would turn, and either the freezer or the refrigerator door, or maybe both, would be open. But we never saw anything moving.
Yeah, we did not see the action of
It was
door
the
opening.
aftermath of something having
Yeah.
been open.
And it would be like you'd be if you were looking at the refrigerator,
It would happen.
it would be closed and you could blink and now it's just wide open. It's like impossible for it to swing open that distance in the amount of time that you
Yeah.
blink.
Like a bad edit in a film.
Exactly. Yeah. All of a sudden, what the heck? And did you open that? I'd ask him, did you open that refrigerator? He goes, no, I'm over here. You know, no, I didn't open it. And so he'd shut it. And, 20 minutes later, a half hour later, then the freezer door would be open. Sometimes the microwave door, which sat on top of the refrigerator, would be open. Remember Yvette's CD player? Sometimes her little CD thing, where you stick the
tray.
CD, the tray would
tray
be
would
out.
come out.
It would come out by itself. You didn't see it come out, you would just notice
It
it.
was just out.
And then one day, how long would you say that went on like that, maybe? That's where I have a vague.
Yeah.
It went on for some time, and then it was after all of that we saw the penny launch itself, maybe a month
And a half.
if that.
Something like that.
Then one day, it happened. The refrigerator that we saw, the refrigerator door opened all the way and closed very swiftly, right?
Yeah.
And then later it might be the freezer.
Freezer.
It was mind-blowing because it was obvious to us that, okay, we've got something paranormal going on in this place. It was crazy with the way those objects were.
Yeah.
The doors, it had a thing with doors.
We started to hear the sound of bottles in the door of the fridge kind of clacking against each other from the force of the door being open. And that's when we would turn around and you'd see the
Correct. And you'd see it. Exactly. And then remember one day, and again, we may be out of sequence here, but these are all things that happened, legitimately happened. We hear this. We're going, what the heck is that? And we look over on Andy's side of the room. There, he has an 8-foot long table, one of those folding type tables. It's open. I had one as well that we set stuff on.
Right.
He had a coffee cup sitting there. And it was, we looked at it and it's
Oh,
sitting there
yeah.
rocking back and forth. By itself, we're looking at it and we look at each other and sometimes we would just laugh because we couldn't believe what we were looking at. And the cup was just moving by itself. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was a thermostat I had,
It was a thermostat or something, and it would, or a thermos.
Yeah.
A thermos.
which had metal on it, and it was rattling
It
on
would
the
rattle
table.
on the table, yeah. And then we'd go about our painting, shrugging our shoulders. Then we would hear waka 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 waka, much louder, deeper. Waka 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 waka. What is that? And we noticed a kitchen-sized garbage can near the refrigerator, just shaking back and forth, like rocking. Chugga 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 chugga, and then it would go shh, slide across
Oh,
the floor
yes.
by
Yes,
itself.
it did.
It did that. Remember that? It was like,
Slid.
holy crap! What in the world is going on? So one particular day, early on, a lot of this kind of stuff was happening. Refrigerator door opening, freezer opening,
You can see the
trash cans
gradual
moving.
ramping up of the intensity and the frequency of the
Exactly.
activity.
It's like in the beginning,
Testing
it
us
was
out.
almost like testing us, desensitizing us to
What can
this
you handle?
presence. What can you handle? And then I remember that first day where a lot of activity was going on.
Oh,
We
Couldn't
were
keep
tired at the end of the day. Remember that?
yeah.
And we drove home. You went your way, I went my way. And I remember feeling really tired. Like, have you ever driven on a long trip and you're slapping yourself to stay awake? It was like that. I was
You're
really
drained.
exhausted. Soon as I got in the door, I stumbled into the house, I flopped on the couch, and I slept for like 13 hours or something the next day. And I began to worry, I said, oh man, is whatever this thing tapping our energy or something? I don't think that's the case. I think we were just so keyed up from all the activity that it exhausted us. Did you have a similar thing that same time?
Felt very drained.
Yeah.
Felt lethargic. And I think it was because we were crashing from having endured so much activity, and our senses were so heightened, they just had to plummet at some point.
Exactly.
I think I pretty much collapsed.
I did too. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I collapsed on the couch, and I was out a good 13 hours.
I'm normally a really light sleeper. And
I am too. I was gone, dead to the world, and it was like I was hoping I could make it home. I was so tired, and exhausted, and that was a bizarre thing. So then let's see what some of the things that started happening.
what about the pencil sharpener?
The pencil sharpener. Let's go ahead and go there. We're painting, and we hear this. What the hell is that? We're looking around, all of a sudden, we had one of these electric pencil sharpeners in the room. It was on the table, and it was the kind that you stick the pencil in the top. The hole was in the top.
Yeah.
And you sharpen it that way. Well, it wasn't a pencil in there. I'm looking, and it was one of my paint brushes, a fan brush, I think, sitting there bobbing up and down, and this pencil just bobbing up and down by itself. And we're laughing at each other like this. Like, what the hell? Because
The handle was being sharpened.
The handle being sharpened. Okay, now you have to understand. I went over and I grabbed the paintbrush, and the tip is sharpened. And on that 8-foot table that's right there near the pencil sharpener, I had, I don't know, maybe a dozen paintbrushes out there, remember? And I set it down, and Andy is across the table, and I'm at the table, and we're looking at the table, talking about this, and all of a sudden, what, 6 or 7 more?
Had sharpened ends.
We're all of a sudden had sharpened ends. They never moved, they never went into the sharpener, at least that we could detect, but now the tips are sharpened.
It's like somebody just cut film and...
Like someone cut film. And now we're like, what the hell? And now we had a number of them with sharpeners. Do you remember that?
Yeah. All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, like
a row.
Like this, like less than this, less than that amount of time. There's a row of them, and they're just sitting there sharp, which was just completely bizarre. Because then we started to question, what in the world is this? It's like whatever this is doesn't obey the space-time continuum. It's like it operates outside of that, right? Remember, I'd walk in with my the baseball cap on. I'd come in and I'd go, okay, and I'd take my hat off and I'd put it on the back of the couch. And we go, and we'd be painting. Again, we'd get ready to go to lunch or something. Didn't I? What, my baseball hat there? Yeah, you had it on the couch. I think you would say. I said, come on, you didn't take my hat, did you? No, I didn't touch your hat. What are you doing? You're back there painting. So I look around the room. I'm looking all over. My hat's not here. So we continue doing what we do, and then we're starting to get ready to go grab some lunch or something. We were getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
Open the door. There's my baseball hat on the floor, right there at the floor, or the door
Outside.
Never saw the door open, nothing, but now my hat is outside the door. How does that happen? So we started questioning these things. How in the world is this working like this? And then remember, we heard this real loud. And what is that noise? Look around. We had an ice chest in the room. It's coming from this ice chest. We open the ice chest. Sander is in the ice chest sanding away on the inside of the ice chest. This is so crazy. We're like, you gotta be kidding me. So we go, okay, we got some stuff going on. So a lot of stuff was going on. Plenty of things happening.
You couldn't keep track of it.
I mean, we just couldn't even keep track of it all. So we started writing things down. I'm writing stuff in a sketchbook. I wish I had brought my sketchbook in my studio where I was trying to take notes in the sketchbook. After a while, there was so much activity, I just stopped doing it. I just stopped taking the notes. We just experienced it as it happened. We weren't wondering what was going to happen the next day or later on in that day. Did you notice it in the beginning? It seemed to happen in the afternoon, early afternoon.
Yeah.
Between somewhere around 1, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that window.
We picked up then.
It seemed to really pick up around that time of day for some reason. Then one day we noticed this little red dice appeared on one of our tables, right? Or the,
Yeah.
coffee table somewhere. It's this little tiny red dice, like smaller than normal, something you might see in a child's game. It looked old, and the two pips on it, on the number 2, were side by side, not at a diagonal. So that was something we thought was a little unusual. We're not used to seeing a dice like that. But anyway, this dice was there. I think I asked Andy, where does dice come from?
No idea.
I have no idea. I didn't bring it here. I didn't bring it here. So the dice, we quickly discovered, began to be an indicator whatever this presence was there. So you'd have the dice on the table and then you would notice, well, the dice is missing. And you'd look around the room, and then you'd go to your canvas and you'd be painting, and all of a sudden you look up and you'd see that dice perched squarely
Right
in the
middle.
center of your canvas.
Right on the top. Yeah, right
Or
in the middle.
sometimes, it would disappear again, and it would appear on a painting on the wall, right dead center on the.
Or
Amazing.
amazingly, balanced precariously on the head of a nail.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. In fact,
I don't even know how it did that.
I don't know how it did either. Now remember, we had another studio mate, Yvette. And in fact, Ricky, you worked with her uncle, I think.
Oh, back at the print
At
shop.
Overture days, at
Yeah.
the print shop. Yeah, well, Yvette is a delightful person, very sweet-natured, but she's Little Miss Fairy Princess, kind of. I mean, you know what I mean? She's sort of I don't know, she'd be one of those folks that would, I say Miss Fairy Princess, I don't mean that in a negative way, but she's sort of more of a pagan earth goddess type
Yeah.
of person, okay? Someone who you would think would be very open and receptive to this sort of thing going on.
All right, sorry about that, guys. There's a little bit of probably an overheating issue. I'm going to be watching it closely. Anyway, you were talking about Yvette.
Yeah, I was talking about
the
Yvette.
soda
The
moving around.
Soda was 6 feet down that 8-foot table, and she knew. She said it right there. Now she started feeling a little ill. She was feeling a little freaky. So she's packing up her stuff. She cleaned her brushes and stuff. She left the studio. And when she got home, she felt really sick. She thought whatever this was put something in the drink and made her sick. I think she was just scared and nervous
Her
about
nerves.
what happened. Her nerves upset her stomach, and she got sick. Bottom line is, she didn't come back to the studio. She had her husband come pick up a lot of her stuff, and she said, you guys can keep this and you can keep that. Things that she did not bother to come back again. So now it's just Andy and I in the studio space. And let the games begin. Oh man, the little red dice. Holy cow, the things that dice did. To keep track of it, we had a white piece of paper on my table. We put the dice and we drew a circle around it, so we knew, okay, there's the dice, Andy, there it is. We'd say, there it is, right there. And then we'd go about it. We didn't touch that dice, we'd work. And sometimes he would laugh or I would laugh, but all the dice is gone, so we knew whatever this was there, because now the dice is missing. And neither one of us took it. No one was messing with us. There was no magnets or devices or anyone playing, pranks on us in there. So the dice would be gone. One particular day we noticed, well, the dice is gone. We laughed and we kept painting because
It was expected.
we're working artists. We're trying to get our paintings done, for shows and things. We're the gallery, etc. We're trying to get work done. And again, we'd break for lunch. I think we went to Whataburger or some place that particular day.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and I came back with a big old drink from Whataburger and sipping on my straw. And okay, let's go. And well, the dice still isn't here. It's out of the circle. The dice is still gone. And so I set my drink down, and Andy gets situated, starts painting. I'm situated to start painting. And I grab my soda and take a sip, keep painting. I don't know how long, 20 minutes, maybe, if that. All of a sudden, it's, oh shit, Andy, come here. Look at this. perched precariously on the tip of my straw is that little red dice sitting there, because whatever this is knows I'm going to pick up that drink to take a sip.
Yeah,
I'll give you something to drink.
I'll put it here. So the dice is sitting there just balanced. Now the straw is like this, okay? And that dice is just balanced right on the tip of it, like it could fall off if you went like that, right? I mean, it was like that.
And always put it somewhere that you knew you were going to see it.
Yeah, where you knew you were going to see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you had to look for it, but it was not ever hidden underneath something. It would be in some peculiar spot. Another time, and you jump in any time, we were leaving, we were getting ready to leave. The dice had disappeared out of the circle. It's the end of the day. All right, let's go. Maybe the fridge opened 2 or 3 times. A lot of things happened in the studio. We're getting ready to leave. We go to grab the doorknob, round doorknob, and there's that dice perched on top of that damn doorknob, right on top of it. It's sitting there because it knows you got to reach for the doorknob to open the door, and there's the stinking dice sitting right there. Remember that? Holy cow, that was unbelievable.
Well, another crazy time of the many we had,
Many.
involved that die, and we had a woman come in, Amber. She was modeling for you.
The model, yes.
And you had told her about it, and it was nowhere to be found at
Right.
that moment. And you were showing her, it was a black and white photograph that you had taken of your palette, so you could see your
the
colors and
value
their
scale.
light value.
Exactly.
And on a piece of blue painter's tape, peeled back, suddenly that thing appeared.
Right, I was.
And it was not there
It
a
wasn't
second
there.
before, and she...
I'll amplify that
Wow.
just a little bit. We were telling her about it. I was explaining what that was, and I said, "You see all the gold paint on it because they did put some gold
Oh,
paint
right.
on it." But I had a black and white version of my paints, and I was explaining that paint had appeared there. And so I walked over to my table, and she's there looking at that little color chart. All of a sudden, she went, "Oh!" She gasped. She put her hand in, and I looked at her, and then the color was out of her face, and she was looking at that chart we had just been talking about. And you're right, the tape that held the chart to the wall had been peeled back, and there was that dice stuck on the piece of tape that she was looking at, for her benefit. And she got to see that. And she had never taken her gaze off of it, and then suddenly it was there, and it startled her to see it because we had just been talking about it. It's like it materialized there. So Andy and I would think about, gosh, it's almost like objects are disappearing and reappearing somewhere else. But we knew that wasn't really what was happening. Instead, we trying to put our brains around this thing, and we started thinking, this thing doesn't operate in
Like it's bending time.
it's
somehow.
like it bends time. It's like, like we experience time, point A to point B in a linear fashion. Something starts here and we move along, right? Until we hit this point, maybe an hour has passed. Well, for whatever this is, you take these 2 points and you bend them on each other, and it operates like that. It's like, it's irrelevant. What we understand as time is irrelevant to whatever this is. And so clearly something is moved or adjusted outside of our understanding of time. It's not like it's dematerializing and rematerializing somewhere else. It is taken and moved and everything in nanosecond or something. It's like...
Almost as if what we were doing was in very slow motion.
Yeah, like if you're
So
blinking...
when you're blinking your eye,
you blink and it can do 1,500 things.
right. Like if you're in a room and everything is really slow,
Yeah.
and someone's blinking their eyes right when it's shut, you take the dice,
Yep.
pick it up, you put it over there. When they open the eyes, there it is.
There it is.
Where else?
And we'd come in like...
It's kind of how it felt.
Exactly.
I don't
We,
know.
we would come
I don't
in
know a sophisticated way of
some
explaining it.
days, right? And on that table, or anywhere in the room, on my table, your table, all these objects would be stacked.
Magazines.
Magazines, cups, objects in the room.
Oh, the
would be
magazines were
unusually
perfectly
stacked.
plumb, just flush right down the side.
Yeah, that was another thing, very meticulous.
Remember when they appeared on the other side of the door after we had gone out for lunch? We were trying to open the door,
Right.
and
And they were all
There was
stacked.
something blocking. the
Oh,
door
that's
from
right. I'd
opening.
forgotten about that.
Magazines.
And
instead
remember,
of them.
we got to
2 feet
thinking,
tall.
you know, we need to call somebody. So
Yeah.
we called this San Antonio Paranormal group. I almost forgot about that. Remember that?
Yes.
So we called this group, and it was a woman and a couple of guys, and they had meters and things to sort of check it out. We had explained to them that a lot of this was happening in the afternoon, you know, between 1 and 3, 4, but it happened all hours
It
of
could
the
happen
day.
anytime.
But it seemed like the real crux of it, the majority of it occurred
The greatest
around this time.
concentration in here.
Well, they couldn't get there till almost 7 o'clock in the
Yeah,
evening,
you
but we
would-
met them there anyway. You were there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we met them there, and they had their little gauges and stuff, and they're measuring things.
They
And then
would
they
talk,
shut all
they'd
the
ask
lights off,
questions.
and they shut the lights off, remember?
Right.
With their little infrared cameras and things, and that they were checking everything out. And after about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes of this, they flicked the lights back on, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, we hear this, this loud, almost electronic sounding, annoying noise like that. And we're looking around the room, where's that coming from? And it was nonstop, it just kept coming. Then the woman realized it was coming from inside of her knit bag.
Yeah.
The sound was coming out. She turns her bag inside out. She had a little flask, a plastic flask of holy water, I think. If
Yeah.
I remember, she must have
Yeah.
been Catholic or something. It fell out of
But
her
nothing
purse.
that would be emitting.
And the thing is
sound.
completely empty, but it's still emitting this. And it freaked her out.
It sounded like an electric
She
razor.
bolted.
Yeah.
She's with this paranormal group, and she bolted out of the room. She left.
Hitherto, she was really even keeled,
She was
calm,
even killed
collected.
until
Now
that. Now she's freaking out because this horrendous sound with no object in an empty knit bag of hers was making this horrendous noise. So she left, and we're like, you know, I mean, what do you do with that? So then you know, they basically didn't do anything for us. So you know, there was this show on TV called what was it? Not Ghost Hunters or Ghost.
I think that could have
One
been
of those shows, I don't know if it's Ghost Hunters, one of those shows where they go out and they film supposed paranormal activity and ghosts and things like that in various locations across the country. Well, but usually they have them in sort of eerie looking settings, some old insane asylum or a
Spooky
hospital
place,
or
yeah.
an old prison or something like that. Well, I called them. I called the producer. I called those people. I called the show. I said, hey, and I told them who I was, and I'm a retired Air Force officer, I'm a painter now, and we're in this little 750 square foot space in San Antonio, Texas. Clean white walls, nice bright light coming in the window from the north.
Yeah.
Nothing scary looking about the place, but
Nothing
we had
creepy about
much more activity happening in our place than anything we've seen on their
Exponentially.
show. And they go, well, gee, we've never been to San Antonio. I'll talk to my producer. Maybe we'll come on down and check it out. Never heard back from them. So I never bothered them again. I figured they're not interested because it probably doesn't look cinematic enough for their TV
It's the wrong
viewers.
setting for the show.
Wrong setting, an artist studio that looks nice and bright and everything, but we had all this crap going on in there. And let's see, let's continue. Then one day we heard a noise, kind of I like to call it a sort of a dolphin-like chirp. Something like that.
Yeah.
In thin air, we'd hear this, you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to make a better sound
No,
than
I
I
think
can, but
that
it was something like that, wasn't it?
Really, really good.
And yeah.
And moving about above our heads.
Yes, exactly.
In the
my,
air.
My sister's calling. I'll get back with her. It's your Aunt Sandy, so I'll have to call her back. We'll have to stop
That's
for a
fine.
minute because it could have something to do with Grandma. Anyway, that chirping sound would appear and move across the room. I'd look at you and go, you doing that? And you go, I'd have to be the best ventriloquist on planet Earth to do this because you know you weren't making this sound, and the sound was coming out, and we never saw anything, any physical manifestation, except for, you know, like when you're driving on the road
Oh, the heat wave.
in the summer in Arizona or something, and you see a little bit of that the heat
That
coming
wet
off
look.
of the,
Yeah.
like sort of
Oily.
damp, kind of rising off the road. We saw something one day like that
Down the wall.
from the corner of a wall, and it went this way, but it only lasted less than a second. Just real quickly, it just went
A ripple.
like a little ripple
Yeah.
through the air. We noticed that. That is the only thing I'd ever seen that seemed, I didn't see any
We didn't see
physical
any apparitions
no
or anything like
apparitions,
that.
manifestations, nothing like that. But sounds, oh boy, did we hear sounds. Did we hear sounds? Oh my gosh. Bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
Really bizarre stuff. How much should we say here? Didn't we one day, we took a Scrabble board.
Yes.
Remember the Scrabble board?
Yeah.
We set it on the table.
Scrabble tiles.
And we just threw the tiles out there. And we had asked a question, if you hear us, can you tell us what your name is? We didn't have any sounds at that time. But, the next morning or something we would see, or later that afternoon, the tiles, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, I think it said Dory.
Yeah, that's right.
D-O-R-E, right? Dory.
I think a Y.
Or was it a Y?
Yeah,
D-O-R-Y, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Dory was spelled with the Scrabble cubes. And the cubes, by the way, were precisely perched on the little holder that you would put your letters on.
That's
Not
right.
just on the table. They were right there at Dory, like that. And it was like, okay. But then over time, that changed. Once we heard words, it was like Janet, I think was
Yeah.
her name. Was it Janet?
Yeah, I remember that.
And then one day we had that, the loud, roar, that loud, what is that? Roar. It was the loudest, deepest sounding voice that just rippled through the air. And then it said Howard, right? We asked for the name. It was Howard, something. You could do it better, but it was Howard.
No, it was so
Howard
deep.
Burke.
I can't really replicate it. It was
Howard Burke.
Really?
Burke. Something like that in thin air. How does that happen without an ability to vocalize, without vocal cords? So I would think, you doing that, Andy? And if he was, it wasn't him doing it. It was using his vocal cords or something. I just don't know. But the sound would come. He'd be on one side of the room. You'd hear it over here. You'd hear this Howard Burke sound.
just kept saying his name, or the name of someone who had recently passed away. we
Someone
found
who
out.
had, yeah. We don't think that was him, but he was using that name. And was it Claire Smith,
Yeah, Lewis's wife.
Lewis's wife? She had called about something because Lewis was working on that project with us, 72 Virgins. We were painting a series of paintings, and it was taking us years to do, sort of a response to post 9/11 kind of stuff. And we would get together once a month and show the progress of our paintings.
Yeah.
We had pizza and beer, and we would show whatever we did that month to make sure we stayed on track. But she was calling about something, and she even heard that Howard Burke thing over the phone.
So did I.
And she got a newspaper. Sure enough, in the obituary, some dude named Howard Burke had passed away. This guy had, I don't know, he flew during World War II or something.
Yeah, he was in the Army Air Corps.
Yeah, Army Air Corps, gunner or
Tail
something.
gunner, I think.
I think he was a gunner, and I don't remember his wife's name, but we had all these little details. And apparently, Claire saw this in this obituary as well. And we're like, I hadn't looked at a paper in I don't even know how many years. I'm sure you probably hadn't either. I don't know, but that was coming out. That information was coming out, which was very freaky. That was getting really creepy with that loud voice.
Yeah,
going
which
in there.
normally would say either the name or just explain, oh God.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, oh God. Oh God. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. It would do that. Oh God. And you
In
would ask
different
questions
ways,
in different
either to
ways.
express surprise or disgust. Oh God.
Oh God. It would just come from anywhere. This sound, it was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then, or,
And these sounds would come with us when we would leave sometimes. They would be
Well,
in the cab of your truck with us.
this is strange. We began to worry that,
Come with us.
well, at least, thank goodness, it's confined to the space here in the studio. The first time we learned that that was not the case, we were going to Herweck's. It's an art supply store about 1 mile from our studio down Broadway. We went into Herweck's, we were both together, and we're shopping down the aisles, and all of a sudden we hear, these sounds. It's like, oh no. And we're laughing at each other because we can hear it plainly up there, kind of following us where we're going. And we were wondering if the clerks could
I
hear
think
it.
we kind of forgot why we were there.
We
were
kind
so
of
beside
forgot why we were-
ourselves.
Why did I come here? Like we're trying to walk away from it, but you couldn't. It was like it was with us. And that was very disconcerting because we began to wonder if this could harm us in some way. The funny thing is we never felt harmed. But, oh, and I forgot this. This is a good segue. One day we were talking, all this stuff was going on, the dice had moved, and all of a sudden you're looking at me talking, I'm going, holy crap, Andy, go look in the mirror. And you had dots of paint as though someone had taken
Squeezed a little bit out of the tube.
a little bit out of the
Pressed it
tube and
here.
just pressed it. You had like 5 of
Yeah.
them, I think, or 5 to
Yeah.
7 of these dots of paint on your
All of a
forehead.
sudden.
And you go look in the mirror and here's these dots of paint that appeared in less than a nanosecond out of nowhere. How bizarre is that?
Oh man.
I mean, it didn't hurt
Right.
you.
No.
You probably didn't even
I
feel
didn't
it
feel
happen.
anything.
You felt nothing. Sometimes we would see a sponge, a paintbrush, whatever, fly through the air.
That's true.
We never saw anything floating, but it was as though they
It was
were
thrown.
tossed or
Yeah.
thrown. But we were never harmed. We were never hit. It would go by you, in front of you, around
Right.
you, stuff like that. But we never felt like we were under attack or there was any malicious
that's right.
intent, right? We never felt that. We were more amazed and astonished by what we were seeing. In fact, I remember going home one day thinking, my God, here I am, 50-something years old. Never did I think in my wildest dreams that I would ever see something like this. And then I felt incredibly privileged that we'd been given this little glimpse into another reality,
Yeah.
like some other dimension that was peeking its way into ours. You know what I mean?
Right, I had a
It
similar
felt like
feeling.
that, right? You felt that way?
Almost gratitude.
Yeah, it was so like, wow.
Like I was selected to
Yeah.
have these experiences.
This
which
experience.
the vast majority of
Most
humankind
people
would
don't,
never have.
would never have. And it's like, what it suddenly does is it opens your mind to things you never would have considered even possible before. This another whole realm of existence. You know, we experience the world and we think our reality is those things that we can touch, taste, smell, hear, right? And see, our physical senses. Well, what I quickly learned after that experience is there's a reality that goes beyond what we're able to detect with our physical senses. And that's when, going through that experience, I knew that with certainty. Right? Didn't you? I mean, you know that with certainty after you experience
Yeah.
that.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
So remember, Lewis, we were getting ready to hang the show, and we had one of his big paintings.
Oh yeah.
And we were picking it up from his car, and we were carrying it, and it was never in our studio. We were
It
carrying
came from
it
his
from
house.
his place,
We got it out of
and
his
we're
drawer.
walking
Just slipping it in.
to the gallery, and all of a sudden we go, holy sh-. There's that little red dice perched on his canvas
center.
while we're carrying it to the gallery. We couldn't believe it. Remember that?
Yeah, it's not as if you were keeping the painting steady at all. It could
No.
have just fallen right off, but somehow it stayed on.
And we went to Jim's one day, Jim's restaurant. And we sat down, and this is a coffee house where you sit
Yeah.
down and the waitress comes and takes your order. The waitress came and she's taking our order and she leaves. And Andy and I are sitting there all of a sudden, you know, no, the noises were like, oh no, who's in here? Really? So we were
Got a
hearing
guest
these-
for lunch.
we got a guest for lunch, and so we just went about our business. But you let me know when it's back. Okay,
Okay, sorry, it cut off again there. Might have been a file size limit.
are we good?
Yep, it's rolling.
Okay, so we had a good friend, an artist friend, still a friend to this day. This guy, I'll just mention his first name. He was in our group working on the 72 Virgins project. There were 4 of us working, no, 5 of us. Logan Blanco, Logan, you, Smith, myself, and Sky. Well, Sky came up. He'd heard us talking about this. He didn't believe it, but he came up there
Yeah, he thought it was
and he
all
sat
bullshit.
down in the studio and he was drinking a beer. And on one wall, we had some paintings hanging.
Yeah, we
on
always
the-
have paintings hanging in the
paintings
front.
hanging on the
People
wall.
come and check it
And
out.
these particular ones were wired, but not just a metal wire. It's a metal wire wrapped with the clear plastic, so they really hold on to the hook. They were nice and straight. We sat down, he was drinking his beer, and all of a sudden we noticed, he looked up and he noticed, that painting's crooked, you know, it was like 45 degrees. So I walked up and I straightened it out and sat back down and we kept talking. 10 minutes later, he noticed it's 45
Other way.
degrees the other way. Okay, this is peculiar. So I got up, I went to the wall, I straightened out the painting, and just as I'm walking away, it jumps off the wall and lands by itself and just crashes onto the floor. Sky turned as white as a sheet of paper and he said, hell, I'm out of here. He left the studio and he never darkened it again. To this day, he never went in there again. It was just too personal and too much for him to take in. He knew that
Which
we
I
had-
understood because he had not
Yeah.
experienced
He had-
anything.
yeah.
So for that to be the first thing that you witnessed,
it startled him.
that would have startled me
It startled
as well.
him so bad.
And we were just kind of amused by
We
it.
were. Remember, sometimes we'd come in, we had hangers and stuff where we would hang things on, and you'd come in some days and you'd be there and you'd turn your head and all of a sudden on your easel, here's all these hangers and things
Oh,
hanging on
yes.
your easel. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, and also remember we had this flash of light. This is no thunder, is lightning out there? What is that? And
Oh, yeah.
flash of light again. We go, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I thought it was
It was
a
your
lightning
flash.
bolt really close to the window.
And then
I
we
looked
looked,
outside, didn't look like
and
anything.
there's my
weather or
camera.
anything.
Yeah,
It was the flash on your
It was
camera.
the flash of my camera, and it was over by the sink. We had one of those sinks. It was over there, and it is where we found it. And we went, and we looked, and there were pictures taken of us in the space. We didn't take them. It was by itself.
Yes.
Then we noticed on the reel there were pictures taken from the ceiling looking down. There were pictures like that.
Yeah.
And then there were even some that looked like you're looking through a tunnel. And you see a tiny image of one of our paintings on the wall at the end of that tunnel. Things like that we did not take. You know, we didn't take those shots. Whatever this was, did that. It's just totally bizarre. But the hats outside the door.
One time,
There were other things
a painting
outside
of
the
yours
door.
had turned upside down, and I think we heard the sound of scraping on the wall. We were in the back painting.
Oh, that's right.
We showed up early. I think we're going
I
to do an open
forgot about
studio.
that one.
We're going to have an
It
open
was
studio, I think,
upside
later that day.
down.
So we had put our works up, and we went to the back. We were painting at our stations, and we hear this like something,
Yeah,
a rubbing sound,
yeah.
or a light scraping sound.
And it was completely upside down.
And yeah, it was one of Steve's paintings had been turned upside down
Totally upside down.
completely.
Unbelievable. So crazy. That dice, though, that dice would appear. We could talk for hours about the dice alone, but we won't. Suffice it to say, it would disappear frequently and would reappear somewhere in our studio where you couldn't miss it. But sometimes you wouldn't see it all day, and then all of a sudden, you wouldn't see it at all anywhere, and then all of a sudden
that's
it
right.
would appear in a peculiar spot. It would appear somewhere. And usually it wasn't random. Usually it was very intentional. You know, like perched on a doorknob, on the end of a straw.
I felt like everything this thing was doing was intentional.
Very
It
intentional.
was intelligent.
Intelligent, and it had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because it would do things that would crack us up.
Yeah.
Some of the nature of some of the things it would do were so bizarre and quirky that they made you laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
crazy stuff.
Remember that time there was a wine bottle rolling back and forth on the floor?
Yes. This wine bottle, the floor's flat. And it would go, whoa, 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 whoa. If it was tilted, it would just go one direction. But it would go back the other way. And then that day that we heard this, we heard a bottle of wine we had in the refrigerator suddenly appeared on your table, and
That's
it had
right.
been uncorked
And some
and
had been poured into a cup.
and it had been poured into a cup. But we never saw it happen. But we did hear that sound, like someone popping a cork. Remember that?
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that one. Let's rack our brains again to remember
Yeah, that
some
was
of the
one-
stuff.
Yeah. I think that was before we started actually seeing things move. And stuff
I think
would
it
just,
was. Yeah, that was again
appear.
static stuff. That was before. So
That was remarkable
it was
because
remarkable.
in 1 second or less, the refrigerator door had been open, the wine would have been pulled out, a corkscrew would have been procured somehow, put on,
And all we heard
popped,
was a pop noise.
and you pour it into a cup.
Yeah.
It was
Heard the
there, it was
pop
ready,
noise,
ready to
exactly.
drink.
That was just crazy. But listen, what else occurred there? I'm trying to think of. There's so many things that happened.
A few times we heard sounds, a slamming against the wall from the other side.
Oh, and coming
Like a
up
rhinoceros. just-
coming up the stairs. Oh, remember, coming up the stairs. And it seemed like the activity was magnified when Andy and I were together. And the closer we were, it was sort of
the
like
stronger it got.
the stronger it got. Like if we were walking up the stairs, there was a bathroom there before our studio. The door would slam shut,
Yes.
and we'd run over to it and open it, and nobody's in there.
Yes,
And
I
this
remember.
was not because of any air currents or air pressure changes or anything. This is on the 3rd floor of a building. There was none of that was going on up there. It would just slam. And sometimes you would see it wide open, and then it would just slam, and there's nobody in there. Remember the air duct work?
Oh,
The
yeah.
air duct, I forgot about this.
Oh, God.
There was some duct work. We were trying to redirect some air conditioning from upstairs down to the first
To the
floor
ground
there was
floor,
no.
because we had
were going to have a show
Yeah.
down there, and there was no air down there. We wanted to cool it off,
Stuffy.
so we were using duct work, the flexible kind that you could bend, and
Yeah, soft.
we were busy putting those pieces together so we could get some air downstairs. And he grabbed one end, I grabbed the other, and it was like 2 cats were in there fighting. The thing was moving all over the
You
place.
barely hold the
And
thing.
you felt weight
And
in
you can
there.
tell this isn't like some sudden
And then we looked
increase
at
of air current. This
We looked in there and it's totally
like
empty.
animals
Completely.
in battle.
It was like 2 cats fighting inside of that ductwork. I almost forgot about that one. Remember that?
I've
Yeah.
never heard that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that happened. That was a big
That
deal
freaked
because
me
it
out. I
was
was on a
freaky.
ladder. I thought I was going to fall off.
It felt
started
like
happening.
2 cats fighting inside of a piece of ductwork. And you felt the weight of it. It was pulling you everywhere, didn't you? But when you looked in there was nothing there. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's nuts.
Crazy stuff.
At what point did I try to record this?
Okay.
I don't remember.
Yes.
The timeline gets messed up because
All right. It does get messed up because
we were just
it was well into things. I think I had told you about stuff that was going on. I'm sure I had.
Oh yeah.
So you knew it. You probably were skeptical, and I don't blame you. Anybody would be. So we decided, well, hey, why don't you come up and
Yeah,
tape
it wasn't the
this
first
thing?
time I was there. I was there before, I think,
Yeah.
and I was, I mean, we're all skeptics, right?
Yes.
So I'm examining every little corner, nook and cranny of this studio, trying to see if there was anything out of place, like some kind of like weird speaker that might be making noise. I mean, that doesn't explain all the other stuff, but like anything that looked out of place. And if I was going to witness much, I mean, I did remember hearing some of those little chirpy sounds.
noises.
With the whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I did hear some of that, like, whoa, okay. All right, that's weird. And I was like, I'm going to come back later. I'm going to catch this thing. So I got, like, I need proof. We're gonna catch like the refrigerator door, opening and closing, or something.
Yeah.
Anything. So I get my camcorder and tripod. I bring it over to their studio, set it up in the corner, and aim it, dead down the center to where you can see most of the studio, and you can definitely see the refrigerator and the things that it like to play with. And so I just set everything up, hit record, sat on the couch and just waited. And they're busy painting. Were you there that day?
Yes, you
Oh,
were.
yeah,
they were both there.
We were both there. That was important for us to be there. Yeah.
So it did, I don't know how long, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the couch, it's important to say, the couch that was there that divided our space faced the front door.
Yeah, faced the front door. It was facing
So-
the camera, and yeah, I was sitting on that couch.
Yep.
But,
Yeah.
but I was just looking down at a magazine or something.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe 10 minutes passed, and was it the refrigerator door or something?
Yeah. It was either the freezer or the fridge, and went, and we said, hey, you know, and
I saw it open, or you're like, okay, something just happened. I look
That's
over at the
great.
camera, and the damn recording light is off.
it's off. So
So I went and checked it, like, okay, that's weird. Turned it back on, rolled the tape back a little bit, I was watching it, and then you didn't see anything particularly interesting happening. It's just like it was recording, and then it wasn't. It just stopped.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, maybe it was something with the battery. I had no idea. So, like, let's just rule that out. So I plugged it into the wall, used the AC adapter, plugged it straight into the wall. It's like, all right, we're getting constant juice, batteries, yeah, it's irrelevant now. So, set everything back up, okay, all right, everything still looks good, hit record. Waiting maybe another 10 or 15 minutes or so go by, it happens again.
Yeah.
Something had moved or slammed.
Yep.
And this time, I look over at the camera. Not only is the damn thing turned off, it was turned 90 degrees facing the wall.
Facing the side wall. Yeah. To the left.
Like, okay, that's odd.
To say the least. We're laughing.
So, like,
And we're nowhere near your camera.
no.
You know, he's way in
was
the
only
back,
me.
and I'm like
Painting.
5 feet away.
It was only
painting.
me in that front half of the.
That's right. So we didn't do it.
So went over there and, all right, turned it back on, reset it, faced it. So it's like, maybe third time's a charm, who knows? Hit record. Again, it felt like about the same amount of time passed. And something else happened. Just,
Yeah,
open door,
something
slam,
opened and
something
closed.
moved,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh shit, all right, maybe I caught it. I look over at the camera, okay. This time, not only was it off, the thing had moved several feet towards the door, was upside down, balanced on the camera, perfectly balanced on the camera, with the legs of the damn tripod sticking up in the
To
air.
the ceiling.
And I'm staring at it like,
What the hell?
you gotta be shitting.
I know.
There's no way. Like,
No
I would
way.
have to sit there, I would have to make like a concerted effort to even make this thing happen. I would have to sit there for minutes trying to get it balanced like that.
Yeah, and that happened in
Just
less than the
bam.
blink of an eye.
And
You
it
don't
was,
even see it. It's like, it's unreal.
by that point, it was like, okay, look, I've already told you twice. This is your the third time I'm going to tell you, and you're going to know for sure.
Exactly.
Like, it was letting me know in no uncertain
You're
terms,
not-
like, you silly little man in your camcorder, you're not going to catch me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just stop trying.
Yeah.
So I stopped. I gave up.
I know.
Just,
I think right after the second one, it was we looked at each other and said, "There's no way this is going
Yeah,
to
it's
let us
probably
tape
not gonna
it."
happen. I just kept
There's
trying
no
anyway.
way, and it, sure enough, that last incident just sealed it. And we knew for
like,
sure.
you
it
got
was
to be
not
kidding
gonna
me.
tape it.
You got to be kidding me. So, like, yeah, that was really unfortunate. I wish I would have got something.
I know.
And I tried. Well, there, but it's just like, no, it was not going to happen. It would not allow it to happen.
Yep.
It's almost like, the way you guys described it, like whether it be like super slow motion and somebody comes in, while you're blinking your eye, or whether it's bending space time or what. Like, I think if it's like it's almost like somebody has the ability to go just snap the finger, time stops, and they take their time and casually walk through and move
Exactly.
shit around.
Exactly.
They're like, okay, yep, that looks good. Let's put something right in front
Oh,
of his
look at a
face
kick
for
out of
fun.
this one. You just wait
And
for
then-
their eyes open again.
Yeah, and then they would walk back out and go, okay, resume. And that's like how things would happen.
It is. That is how
Right.
things would happen. That's
Absolutely
how things
right.
would happen. And that same sort of mechanism you just described is how we think objects would move. Like suddenly your hat disappears and now it's outside the door. It's like it stops time, picks it up, strolls out, opens the door, puts it, and we never see any of that happen because this space-time continuum is irrelevant to whatever this
Yeah,
is.
it was not bound by it at all.
Not at all.
At least our
It
understanding
is
of it.
paranormal in the sense
It's
outside
extranormal,
of
yeah.
what we say extranormal. And so, you know, for me to say ghost, I'm reluctant even to this day to say that. But whatever it is clearly an intelligent entity that we can't see with the naked eye, but we get a glimpse of it through the things it's doing in our particular
Yeah.
time and space. It's like it's from some other dimension or some other realm, some other plane of existence, and it sticks its head into ours for brief moments. And the
lose
fact that
itself.
we're allowed to see that is special.
Yes.
Just fantastic that we got to experience that.
I'm just hoping, like, someday before I die, would be great if science could come up with some kind of explanation. Just
Real
what in the
explanation.
hell was going on in there?
What is that?
You know?
Yeah.
I'd love to know, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get an answer. I'm just happy that I at least got to experience something.
You got to experience some of that.
And I have no reason to lie about this, guys. There's like, I have nothing to gain.
Well, neither do we.
Like, this is like, you know, you can call me crazy, you can call me what you will. And no, it's not freaking carbon monoxide, okay? Don't tell us that we've heard all these things.
We've heard it all.
Get a carbon monoxide detector. You're probably hallucinating stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 people hallucinating the same thing at the same time? No, that's
No.
not carbon monoxide.
No, it's
So
not.
let's just get that out of the way now.
Exactly. You know, I spent almost 25 years in the Air Force. Was an Air Force officer. You know, pretty conservative-minded individual, very pragmatic. You show me. You know, I want to see data, facts, things like worked in an emergency room when I was an enlisted troop. Very much in tune with what science is, that sort of thing. You know, and objectively testing things and repeating them and questioning and being skeptical about things that occur. If someone had told me some ghost story or a UFO thing, I would have been polite, but thought,
very dubious.
yeah, Twilight Zone for this guy. That's what I would have thought, up until the day the penny jumped off the table.
It's funny you mentioned the Twilight Zone, because one time you said, I feel, Andy, like we're in the Twilight Zone, and then we heard the little tune. Da, 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 da. One of those voices.
Oh yes,
One of those
it was
voices.
making the tune though.
Yes, that
It was making the
Twilight
theme.
Zone.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the actual music, it was like the voice saying it.
Yeah.
Exactly, just in thin air. Unbelievable. Hard to explain that. You don't know where the sounds came from.
And other things happened with your stereo too. The
Oh yes.
tuner, which stations, it would go from AM to FM, it would go across the numbers, and it would play tracks on the CD.
CD, like an area where they're loudly applauding or
Yeah,
saying
and it
something.
would go back and replay segments.
It would
songs,
replay that over and over again. by
phrases.
itself.
Yeah.
Certain phrases, like it wanted to pick out something to say
Yeah.
something to you
A piece of
from
the lyric.
that piece of the
and it would
lyric.
Just
A
repeat
piece
it.
of a lyric. That's right. I had forgotten about that. It had done that. That is right. That is absolutely right. It had done that. Oh my gosh, the things. And man, that little dice. I'm trying to think of other things with that dice. There were so many things. It would disappear and reappear in so many places. It was just insane. Absolutely whack. And you're right, the stacking of objects, unusual objects that you normally wouldn't even think of stacking, it was able to stack. And the meticulous alignment of things too
Yeah.
was so perfect. It's like, it was mind-boggling. No one would spend the time to do that. And I swear that dice would appear, if we had measured it, we would discover it was dead center, you know, on the things that it would stack it on, right?
Yeah, heads of nails, thumbtacks,
Doorknobs,
straws.
straws, you name it, man. It just put it everywhere. It's like, again, it's like the time was irrelevant to whatever this was. Totally irrelevant, but yet somehow it was able to.
Or has some incredible, supple bendability about it.
And for some
Speed it up,
reason,
slow it down.
and you remember that.
Jump ahead.
Yeah, and so much of the activity seemed to be magnified when we were together. And the closer we were together.
That's right. When
it
we were at the
magnified.
studio by ourselves, I mean, I would have completely uneventful days
Yeah,
on
I
my
would
own,
too.
or maybe one or two
things.
minor things might
Right.
happen.
I'm not-
Underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
I feel a
I'd
little
have-
disappointed.
I'd
I
have
feel a
the-
little cheated on
I'd
those
see
days.
the dice move. Occasionally, the freezer might open or something, or a light would be off. Nothing big, and the sounds.
It's almost like it went back to how it kind of started.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
showing you a
And
little
then,
bit.
but you know, it's like the two of us being together was sort of like two wires connecting and completing that circuit to a receiver that allowed this to manifest. It seemed like.
Matter of fact, when one of us would be in the studio painting, the other person would show up. The phrase one of us would always utter is, "Let the games begin."
know,
And sure enough, it would.
Sure enough,
within
something
minutes.
would happen, 'cause we knew something was going to happen. And it's funny.
How we were able to be so productive boggles the mind.
I know. I know. Well, a lot of people said, man, I'd have left a long time ago. We went through all that. And then I know you left after about a year or so of this. And I was up there by myself. And then later there was another studio made. But little things would happen, but not a lot. And then one day, the stereo, the volume went up. And the volume went down. And that was it. Never saw anything else again.
Signing off.
It's sort of like it ended the same way it started.
Yeah.
And
Weird.
what that was, I really wish I knew what that was. But it's clear that there is a realm or a plane of existence that exists beyond our ability to detect with our physical senses. And that is outside of what we understand to be time or this space-time continuum. It operates in a different way. Some might say in a spiritual realm, some would say just another plane of existence, another dimension, whatever you choose. It's clearly outside of what we understand as reality.
Yeah. We're lacking whatever sense we would have to have in order to fully.
Physics are
Check this
irrelevant to this,
Yeah.
or what we understand of physics. Objects don't just move like that, just a penny, tubes of paint, paintbrush sharpening itself. They're not sharp, and now they're sharp in the blink of an eye. How does that happen? How do you explain those things? What more can you remember?
Yep, sorry about that. It's probably a file size limit thing. Yeah.
Objects would appear on one of our palettes. One time there was a cockroach, a
Yeah.
dead cockroach on your palette with a stripe painted across its back.
That's right! A dead cockroach appeared on my palette with a stripe painted across its back. That is right. I forgot about that. And you see what I mean? Sense of humor.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was almost a childlike sense of humor that would have.
Yeah,
Very much so.
real
See,
jokester.
Jokester is right. I mean, come on, the sander inside the ice chest, that's hilarious. I mean, we're inside of an ice chest, just going to town. I think it enjoyed the sound it made or something.
It liked making sounds, or fiddling with things
Fiddling
that
with
would
things that would
produce a
make-
sound.
Yeah, I think so.
I think one time we heard the sound of the sander, but it was outside,
Yeah,
on the other side of the
on
wall.
the other side of the wall. No, you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. Now that I
It's
think
moving
about it.
across the floor.
What else besides the hat appeared outside of our door that disappeared from the room, and then when we opened the door, it was out there? There were other
Yeah.
things, but it liked to do this with my hat for some reason. It would do that, and it would hang things up on a nail or something that didn't belong there. The way it stacked things was amazing. But to me, I think once the door started opening, anything with doors it seemed to like to fool with, opening and closing at least the doors of the freezer, fridge, and microwave. The microwave to a lesser degree, but it did do it. I never really saw the microwave open and close. You'd see it suddenly be open, but I don't remember it opening. Do you?
Yeah.
Opening and closing?
No, that I don't
Fridge and
recall
freezer
seeing
did.
animated. But what's weird is you never heard the sound of the microwave open, because you had to push the
Yeah, the
You
button.
never hear
button
like
Yeah.
latch.
for the latch to go off. You wouldn't hear that. It would just
No,
be
you
open.
wouldn't hear it. It would just be open.
The mechanical
It was mechanical.
thing.
That's the thing. It would defy all these things. We would see occasionally tubes of paint fly across the room, a brush, a sponge. Any other objects you can think of? There were other objects, but they were never really thrown at us.
Just passing.
Real close, passing like that. I mean, right over your ear or something. But it was never.
You were never a target for it.
No, and I never felt like it was malicious, at least to us.
No. It's playful.
Sure scared away a lot of other people, though.
Oh yeah, we had multiple people come by.
We came here to the house one time when we were doing one of our critiques.
Mm.
Okay, remember that?
Yep.
And I think Rick probably has a story about the person with the toilet paper.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah?
I need to go to the bathroom. And, I mean, people could say this was made up, but it's just, like, why? Why would you just randomly do this? It makes no sense.
Correct.
He came, did his business, came back out of the bathroom, and was walking back into this room where the rest of you guys were, and one of you noticed, said, you got some, like, toilet paper stuck to your leg. Wait a minute. He looked at it and said, it's not just stuck to his leg,
Wrapped.
it's wrapped around his ankle and tied in a bow.
Right.
Like, huh?
What is that? And then we had I think I had at the time, I was drinking
It's
some
in
kind
the
of
house
soda.
now.
Exactly. I was
What's
drinking
going
out
on?
of a soda, a can, and I had a glass of ice. And I left the room for a second, went back in the room, and the can was sitting inside of the glass of ice, it was just
Yeah.
stacked in there. That happened. And I think we heard some chirp noises right in this house, right in this room. We heard a few
Yeah,
chirp
yeah.
noises when we were having a critique. And it always made us a little nervous. Remember that?
One time we were sitting around the table eating pizza and the chair was moving.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't remember. It wasn't something truly amazing thing, but there was
Just
a chair where
slight.
no one was sitting in.
No one was sitting in it would move a little bit. Yeah, I don't doubt it for a minute. But yeah, these were things that occurred, I'd say, over about an 18-month period or close to it. And there were many more things
Just the sheer
along those lines.
density of events. It's
It
incredible.
was incredible. I mean, I don't even know how many times the fridge and freezer open and close.
Hundreds.
Hundreds of times. And that dice, hundreds of episodes of that thing
Yeah.
moving around, stacked objects. And the penny disappeared one day. Remember, we always kept it in the studio, that little copper penny with the corrosion on it.
Yeah, we knew where to put it because it was the dust-free circle on the table.
Exactly.
That's where it occupied.
It goes right there. Yeah, exactly.
It was a
Just
darker black circle there than it.
really cannot explain what this was.
It was an old penny.
It was old, but clearly
Gunky.
this was something that was paranormal, intelligent, sense of humor to it, and it was real. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's not anything we'd make up. I would take a lie detector test on this, and as I mentioned, it's not something I like to talk about much to people I don't know
I was never talking.
because they think you're alone. I
Mhm.
know that. And you can see it on some people's faces when you do talk about it in a mixed group of people. Some people are like, yeah, this guy's been smoking what? They think you're doing something,
Real
doing
creepy.
drugs or something,
Yeah.
or you're a little off your rocker. If you had not been in that studio space with me the day that penny jumped, I would have made an appointment to see a psychiatrist because I would have thought something was going on. I'm seeing things, doc. But because you were there to validate it, and we kept asking each other, did you see that?
Right.
And we confirmed to each other that we did. We knew it was for real, that this happened.
There's probably a good chance we're not both completely insane. so-
Yeah, you might both be a little nuts,
A little
but
nuts.
not completely insane.
I'd have to be nuts too.
Exactly.
I guess
man.
it runs in the family. If you don't believe us, then you can ask any of the people that booked it out of there and never went back.
Never went back, because they saw some
That's what they
things.
saw.
They did. Yvette is one. I mean, Sky, the experience of the stuff jumping off
It
the
really
wall
terrified
scared
him.
him. It scared him so bad he never returned. He just never came back. Some people to this day don't believe any of it. But I don't care.
That's
We know it happened. I don't care.
I know what it's all.
It happened. It's real. And I would take a lie detector. So I'm sure you would too. I would take one. I don't feel like I should have to, but I would. I would take one because I'm 100% confident in everything we just said today. In fact, we left a lot of stuff out. Didn't we? I mean,
Yeah, it could go on for hours and hours.
it could go for hours. We probably already lost a lot of people at this point, but there were so many things that happened.
One time I think it was a pile of sugar was poured on the floor.
That's right. I think Lewis was there that time.
Something scroll.
Lewis Smith. Yeah, scrawled
Someone had
something
taken
into a pile of
either
sugar.
a stick or a finger and had.
Scrawled something into the sugar.
Yeah.
That's right. I had forgotten about that. It was over by the sink.
Yeah, you were on the phone with Lewis when it happened,
Exactly.
and that's when you came across it.
Yeah. Whoa, what's this? Suddenly that pile of sugar
Damn sugar's
appeared
on the
with
floor.
something written in. I don't remember what was written into it. But some
I don't
kind
either.
of something or other was scrawled into that sugar. And what's the point of doing that? You know, I mean, it's just pointless. It seems. Yeah. Anything else that you can recall?
Wasn't the ice chest full of water one time? Maybe.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yes, it was. Now that you made a good memory.
It was always empty, and then
One day it was full of
you
water.
opened it. I don't know for what reason.
And it's not because ice
Maybe
was
we were
melted.
going to make some sodas cold or something for an opening, and you opened it up and saw it was
Full of water.
full of
Yeah,
water.
I think you're right. It was full of water, like full, like someone had run a hose in it. Now, a lot of these things, you could say, well, someone's playing pranks on you, or so. You could think, well, that could be faked. That may be so with some of them, but when you're looking at a freezer go, and pennies jumping off a table, tubes of paint flying through the air, I mean, you can't explain that. I'm sorry. You just cannot explain that. Very clearly, some peculiar paranormal activity was going on. And I'm just glad we got to experience that
Yeah, me too.
because, wow, you just feel privileged, I think, to have been able to see something like that and to get that glimpse into the other side, if you will, some other reality, a glimpse into another reality. And makes you circumspect, I think, about the nature of the universe for sure. We don't know squat. There's much more we don't know than what we know, that's for sure. And it has opened my mind to other possibilities. Like if someone says, man, I saw a UFO, before I probably would have laughed and scoffed. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you did. You know, I'm open to the possibilities of those things much more easily than I was once upon a time. Now I know there are some people who make up stories about ghostly apparitions and stuff like that that for some reason need starve for attention or something. We don't need that.
No.
I don't need that. I just want to make my paintings, you know, and get them out there to the world. I don't need this.
This was just a bonus.
I consider it a bonus. There are some people who will think you're a little bit of a loon, but which may be true, I suppose. But with regard to this, that was 100% real.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
You were experiencing
We
something
experienced something.
remarkable.
It was remarkable. And that doggy likes you. She's crashing out in your lap. Look at that, man. You little turkey.
My initiation.
Do you recall us mentioning anything else that
Uh,
that would have occurred?
I'm trying to think of other people that ran out of the room and never came back, but I think you covered all of those.
There are plenty of folks who ran out and never came back because they were so.
I think our friends in the studio next door
Sure.
might have had a couple of experiences.
They
I just
did?
don't remember clearly
Yeah,
what
they
they
did.
were.
They did.
I mean, I heard stuff. I mean, this is just. I mean, people could just say I imagined it or heard something else, but that Howard voice.
Oh,
Definitely heard it when I was talking to you over the phone,
Over the
trying
phone.
to get directions.
but if someone were looking at that objectively, they could say, well, anyone could be. I could be in there
Right.
making this Howard voice, or he could be doing. The point is we weren't.
No, I was in the middle of
We really
speaking
weren't.
with you.
I mean, it was just there.
It was just, you told me like, turn on Broadway or
Yeah.
something like that. I was trying to get directions. And then I hear, oh, on Broadway. like through the phone. Like, is that what I think it was? That damn thing's singing? You're like,
We're cracking up laughing. We're both laughing our heads off.
yeah, I mean, what else can you do?
Laughing our heads off because like we shrug our shoulders a lot. Like what are you going to do with this? I mean, what can you do? It's like you're completely at whatever this thing's mercy
Yeah.
is, because you don't
You're
have
coming for the
control.
ride.
Well, you're along for the ride because you can't see it. You see the after effects or the stuff in real time that indicate that there's something there. What that is, who knows? Who knows really what that is? Some kind of energy, an intelligent energy of some kind that we can't see with our naked eyes. We can't. And yet that makes it no less real. And it is very clearly has an impact on our dimension. Why that place, why that building,
Yeah.
why us? I can't answer that question. Andy and I went to the same school there at UTSA, studying art. We were kind of at different points. At one point, I think one semester we were there at the same time.
Yeah.
We might have even had one class together.
I
Maybe.
don't think we shared
We
a
maybe
class.
never shared a class, but
we met each
we
other.
met each other there.
I think my last semester, and you had come over
Yeah.
from, having been at San
And it was a
Diego.
couple years later, because I think I graduated in 2003, and it was about 2006 that I moved into the studio there, and we all kind of grouped together. There were three of us that went in together to get the studio
Right.
space, and saved a little on the rent and everything. And within a month, stuff started happening. I don't think a month went by.
Yeah.
Stuff,
No more than a month.
about
I mean,
month.
it was pretty soon.
Pretty quick, about a month. And we were pretty prolific back then. We were painting quite a bit. It's amazing we got any work done
Yeah.
with the amount of activity that happened. But I would be willing to take a lie detector test. It doesn't bother me because it's all true. We couldn't make this stuff up. It was just crazy to witness some of the things
Yeah,
we
this is
witnessed.
stuff I never could even conceive of.
Yeah. Nothing
It's so
spooky.
weird.
No, ooh, nothing. We didn't see any ghosts walking across the room. We didn't see any of that. We saw things happening. We saw objects moving that shouldn't be, without any means of propulsion. We saw things like that. See things appear. You see things sort of disappear and reappear somewhere else. Crazy stuff. Doors opening and closing, things stacking, a lot of that kind of stuff. Some would say that's poltergeist activity, whatever that means. I don't know, maybe it is. All I know is we saw it. We witnessed it. And why we got to see it, who knows?
Yeah. It's like some weird lottery we won.
It's very weird. But yeah, we really racked our brains for a long time trying to think of what this could be and how does it operate like this? How does stuff disappear and reappear somewhere else? And the only thing we can come up with is it just operates outside of our normal understanding of time. This time-space thing, it's in a different realm. But yet it's peeking its little fingers and sticking them into our
Mm-hmm.
sphere of existence. Not sure why, but I'm glad because it makes you realize there's so much more than this out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than this reality. You could say that's a scary thing, or you could say that's a fascinating thing.
That's fascinating.
I think it's fascinating and positive, depending on a person's outlook in the world and what could lie beyond. What's beyond this?
Mm.
And it makes you think about, like, if you think in terms, I don't want to get macabre, but even death when you leave this world. Well, we've got this physical shell, but then there's an energy that's in us. And where does that go? Does that move on somewhere? Does it change forms in some way? What happens? So I feel like whether someone is open to those ideas or not is immaterial to me. The point is why not? Based on what we saw, the universe is a big mystery in there, and we had some things revealed to us that are outside of our normal understanding of how things should work in the world and how physics works and all of that. It's beyond
And that
that.
was probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I'm sure it was the tip of the
It was just
iceberg.
a sliver, just
A sliver.
a hint of something.
And I'm not saying that people haven't witnessed a physical manifestation of a being moving or something. I suppose that's
I have to admit, I was
possible.
kind of hoping for something
I was
like that at some
wondering.
point.
Well,
It's never
sure.
happened.
Yeah, with all the stuff we saw, we expected.
Must be the next
We expected that
phase.
might happen. But to be honest, the closest thing we ever saw to that was that little ripple.
little
A
disturbance.
little disturbance up in the air in the corner. It went like that, and that was it. It's over like that. It's crazy.
Bizarre. That is truly bizarre.
It was fantastic, though. I'm glad you were there to try to tape it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you confirmed
I thought
what we had been saying.
I was being sneaky. Like, I'm finally gonna get this. Nope.
But I'm so glad that it revealed that much to you, because often most people coming up there wanting to see something happen didn't get to.
Right.
But as soon as they left the room,
Oh,
then all
yeah.
hell
Yeah.
would break loose, right? All
Yeah.
hell would break loose, right?
Well, even
That is exactly
Jen,
right.
Jen was there for some of it because, like, I went outside. I went
Yeah.
outside for a smoke. Like, I always got the feeling that whatever this was didn't like me that much.
Oh,
But
who knows?
I went outside to have a cigarette, and like the moment I left the room, your radio came on to that applause,
That's right.
and Jen was in the room for that.
The applause on
She
the
was in the room
CD.
for that.
That exactly.
Well,
And that is not by accident.
No, that was
That's
intentional.
very intentional.
It didn't like my ass for some
It was
reason.
intentional. And I'm not sure if it was about a liking or not liking or anything. It's just screwing with you.
Yeah.
And whatever this was, it would do that, didn't it? Because sometimes I felt like it was just screwing with us, just having
The timing was so on point.
it was hilarious. Sometimes it was hilarious. Sometimes it was a little creepy, but most of the times it was hilarious because we didn't know what to expect. Because we, for some reason, don't ask me why, we really never felt threatened.
Right.
We were shocked and got the hair raised on the back of our heads when we first saw the penny jump. You know, when we first saw the freezer open and close. But after a lot of that, we just crack up laughing because it just kept going and going and going.
What are you gonna do about it? Yeah.
What can you do? If it was trying to scare us away,
It could have.
it didn't work. It
Yeah.
could have if it really wanted to, I suppose. But I don't think it was trying to do that. And we stuck with it. Others got scared and took off. We just stuck with it, man. We just, we're going to keep painting. Some days it was hard because it kept us so
Distracted
entertained,
and
distracted. But God, the thing with the paintbrushes just blew me away. When we looked at them and they were all of a sudden sharp in less than a nanosecond.
I remember,
How does that happen?
yeah,
That's
when
wild.
you put a piece of tape on the volume knob of your stereo to look and see if it was turning, as
Yeah.
the volume was going up or down, and it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So it was sort of doing that inside.
He was doing it inside of it. Yeah, because the tape didn't move. You're right about that. I had forgotten about that. Yeah. And remember the time I put the dice in a baggie?
Oh,
I
yeah.
put it in a baggie so it wouldn't just I
Ziploc.
think that pissed it off.
really.
Yes. That's when tubes of paint things would fly. It was that day. That's when a lot of that began. And says, okay. And it was open and the dice was gone. Okay, and then it reappeared somewhere.
Don't try to
But it was
stop me from
like it was sort of
getting it,
pissed
yeah.
that we did that. Like, you think I can't, I do all this, you think I can't open a baggie? I mean, look what it did with your camera and everything.
Yeah.
Right, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
The more we sit here and talk, the more we start to remember about
Oh, yeah, the
little
photographs.
The photos.
Camera.
Yeah.
Where were you?
You would bring your camera with you, and it was zipped up in its bag. And we would notice at some point while we were both there that it was out of it.
Out of the
And
bag.
Sitting there. It's like,
That's
okay,
right.
let's see what's on
See
here.
what's on the film.
And
Look,
sure
there
enough,
might
you see
be
things.
20 photos or something.
Yeah.
Like, well, what? When did that happen?
Some things were really not discernible. Really
Foggy, out of
misty
focus.
kind of thing. Like they were getting up really close on something.
Yes.
And not.
Yeah.
focusing it, so it would be very blurry. Some things were tack sharp. Some things, like you said, were photographed from the ceiling, looking down.
Looking down.
I mean,
And then
because
the
it was about a
paintings,
12-foot ceiling. I mean, I couldn't get up there.
this
and do
tunnel
that.
thing. Now, see someone who's a skeptic and say, well, you guys could just take the camera, put a roll of toilet paper on the lens and take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up with probably like 4 different long clips on here. I'm not sure how many times it stopped already. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah,
it's-
probably did. Stop. As long as you didn't miss anything really important. You probably didn't.
No, I don't think so.
But I think we told the gist of it, don't you? There's more. I know I'm going to remember 1,000 things after you leave. And after you leave, I'm going to remember all kinds of stuff. I think Mom was freaked out one night because she did hear.
Oh, yeah.
She did hear from the bedroom. She heard the chirpy noises or the. So, sometimes we do that, right? Like a long extended one instead of.
Yeah.
Sometimes we or something long.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't make the sound.
Very high
But it was
pitch.
something like that, like a
Really high
dolphin
falsetto
sound,
kind of.
really high. I can't make the noise, but it would make those sounds, and
sometimes the sound
extended.
was kind of a complex sound, like a chord rather than a note. You could
Exactly,
hear
it sounded like two.
a layer,
Yes,
like it was like a harmony going on.
like two
sometimes.
pipes. It was
Yeah.
like two pipes, one like a half note
Yeah,
apart from each other. But it was two of them, slightly different octave or something, and they would
it's a
blend.
chorus.
That is right. We would hear that. It would be more than one frequency
Yeah,
simultaneously.
like a layering of two.
A layering of two. Can't explain it.
And the way it would move across the room,
Yep.
be in the back, go to the front.
Yep. Between us.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy stuff. I don't know how we kept our sanity over that period. I really don't. I don't know how we did. But we did. We were paying rent, wanted to paint, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty wild.
So you certainly got your money's worth.
Yeah, we definitely did. We got way more than we bargained for, man. And I don't think, yeah, that was the old Southern Music Building, and we often wondered, you know, did somebody die in here or something? I mean, you know, we wondered all kinds of things.
Did stuff
In
happen?
fact, I remember us asking, you know, if it was meant us any harm. Didn't it make a certain sound for yes and a certain sound for no? Like one,
Yeah, we did ask it questions, and maybe it was like,
or if it was two or one, or I don't know. They were,
no.
it did something that was like a yes no. Sometimes we would guess.
Sometimes it
We asked a
actually
question.
sounded
This
as
was-
though it were articulating the word
Yeah,
or
exactly.
no.
Yeah.
It would have almost
This
a
is-
whiny quality.
This is like
No.
way into it, like 9 months along or something. It would, more stuff was allowed, more things like that would happen. Instead of just an object moving. And it's funny how we were desensitized, you know, like a volume on a radio, lights, door wide open, but we didn't see it open. Then eventually the penny. It was like one, I don't know why it chose that, but that was the first time we saw.
Did we ever hear knocking and there was no one there? Well, I know we did hear some pounding sounds occasionally.
We used to hear that.
Something being rammed into
Yeah.
the wall from the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah. I do recall that, the pounding.
One time it was really loud.
Really loud once.
Like
And it
someone
wasn't-
backed a truck up
I
into
thought
the
it was
wall.
maybe Lewis next door or something, but it wasn't. He wasn't even there. And we would have that pounding. Gosh, it was so strange. You would think somebody maybe was pulling a prank on you if you didn't know better. But we knew better. And it was just happening. It's just happening. If we weren't there to see it, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But having seen it now, okay. You know, you made a believer out of me, and you saw.
Yep.
You saw enough. Just that one episode with the camera should be enough to convince.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
anybody.
no, that convinced me.
We would have the.
Because you didn't move the camera.
Yeah.
We didn't.
No,
move the
I
camera.
didn't.
We were nowhere near it. And there, where's the camera?
Even if
It's
I was trying to
behind
move the camera, you guys would look over and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" 'Cause, I mean, that would have taken me probably a good 5 minutes to get it balanced up
Easy,
like that.
balanced on the camera. And it seemed like the lens was pointed toward the back door, but toward the door,
Mm-hmm.
and the tripod legs were pointed toward the ceiling. How do you get that balance without it toppling over?
Don't know. Don't know.
I don't know how I did that. Think about it. It would be so easy for that to topple.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be just right, just so.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Think about it. It's balanced on the camera on a tripod. That would have tipped over if we had done it. If I'd have set it up, it would have tipped over in some way, but it was just there. Perfectly there.
Oh, wow.
And you saw it.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm really glad you did. I only wish that you could have got something on tape. Those
Yeah.
things opening and closing.
Yeah, I'd send that off and be like, debunk this. Try to, please.
Absolutely. Please look at it pixel by pixel, please. Because we didn't do any of that. We didn't set up any of it.
They just have to take your word for it, and
You have to
they're just going to think you're crazy.
And if you don't, I really don't care because it happened.
Yeah.
It happened. We know the truth, and that is the truth. Absolutely true.
I'll maintain it to
You saw it.
to the grave.
You will.
Some
And,
crazy shit.
I would take a lie detector if I needed to prove to anybody that everything we're saying is true. As a matter of fact, we've left things out. We've left a lot out of things that occurred.
Yeah.
But
There's tons of activity.
so many activities.
Obviously, certain ones come to the forefront of our minds.
They do.
Particularly the penny, because that was
What's that?
the penny. You
The
know,
penny.
That's going to be
Because
one
that began. That was the
Yeah.
first. That was the first introduction.
Let the games begin.
This was the introduction to, okay guys, let the games begin. I think you're ready. And then it did it again. Boom, yep. You
10
saw.
times harder the second time.
If it had only done it once, we might have questioned. We might have, did we see that? We might have questioned it, but they did it again, just to drive home the point that we witnessed it. Right? It did it for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there was no
There
was no doubt.
It launched another time, maybe another 2 times at some point after that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that was not something that just happened.
Didn't we also discover that we're finding coins everywhere for a while? Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did find other coins.
We'd find coins here and there, all over the place. We did in the building or on
Yeah,
the sidewalk in
yeah.
front of it, or something. It's like an unusual amount of occurrences of finding coins.
And you're going to find change here and there.
You do, but
You're
not like
just
at this
seeing-
frequency. We saw a lot of coins. That was another thing I forgot about.
Yeah.
We discovered coins all over the place. What the hell? Man, I wish they were $100 bills, but or gold coins. Yeah, even better.
We got a leprechaun.
But they were just, change, chump change, a quarter, a dime, nickel, pennies, all over the place. You can find it. Yeah, mom did hear those sounds one night. She was a little.
I know, she wasn't happy about that.
She was creeped out. It bothered her. But I said, don't worry about it, honey. Nothing's going to happen. There's no malevolence here on it. But I didn't sense it. Did you?
No.
I never sensed that. If I had sensed that, I'd have been out of there. I'd have bailed. If it had ever hurt us in some way, caused a wound, or something, your arm is slashed or something, I would gone. I'd be out of there.
Yeah.
But that never happened. Nothing like that. It took us to the limits sometimes. It did. Some people with a lesser constitution peed their pants and left and never came back. But we stayed out of curiosity.
Yeah.
We were
I was
just
actually looking
so
forward
curious.
to
What's going to happen
activity.
today, Andy? It's like, what can we, right? It was like, I wonder what's
Any
going
of
to
our
happen
old
today.
standbys, or we're going to have some new things.
What's going to happen? But you're right. Like you, I was wondering, when is the day going to happen when we actually see some apparition or something? And that never happened. That never played out. So we can't claim that because that never did happen. At least not to us. That never happened. And that's unfortunate. I would like to have seen that, but I probably would have peed my pants, but we didn't see that. So, which makes me question what that is. What was this that we were dealing with? I really don't know what that was. Some sort of intelligent entity of some kind, able to cross those dimensions. Now we're repeating ourselves a lot,
Yeah.
I'm sure. So you're going to have to edit some of this crap, Rick, because I'm sure we repeated ourselves
That's fine.
5 or 6 times.
That's fine.
We're not operating from a script, we're just recalling memories. This happened back in 2006 into 2007, maybe the beginning of 8, and that was it. That was the end of it. It was over. That was it. And it was done.
Pretty wild.
Never happened again, to my knowledge.
I'm just really glad that, because I was just going to talk to you when you said that, Andy
I
was
said,
down.
well, how would you like
Oh,
it if I
that'd be
had
great.
Andy here? And it's, I'm glad that you.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be
Oh,
perfect.
I love talking.
Well, because we were both there when all of this happened, and the good thing is we're validating for each other that we're not making this stuff up. This was completely real, totally truthful.
Well, I'm happy I have an opportunity to talk about it at length because,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
never utter a word
I know.
unless I know, I feel really strongly that I'm around a receptive audience.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who,
Well,
because I'm not gonna waste my breath talking
I'm talking
about
with
it.
me.
There's someone who
we will
thinks I'm
always
done.
have a special
Yeah.
relationship in this regard because
Yeah.
we experienced that together, and it seemed like it fed off of whatever our energy is
Yeah.
between us. There's something there because it just seemed to magnify when we were both in the same room. Why is that? Why would it do a little bit if he was alone, a little bit if I was alone?
But
a
when we're there,
whole
we're opening
bunch.
up this portal.
When we were together, that's something we hadn't figured out. So there's something that tells me something else too. There are things we don't understand about our own human nature. There's some sort of energy that we each have and possess. And somehow the interaction between the two of ours did open something, or at least was receptive to receiving something that came from some other plane of existence, man. I don't know why. I can't answer. I'd love to be able to answer why, but I can't. Can't answer why. I just know that it did occur, and we both know that. We can't deny it. It's just the truth. And I know most people who would watch this would think we're Looney Tunes, and that's okay. They can think that. It's just absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
But finally,
Huh?
get it on record of some kind that I could share with
Yeah.
share with other people that I've told just brief little pieces
Yeah.
about. It's like, oh, you like the paranormal? So do I. It's like, well, I got some stories for you, but
Yeah, and the thing is this is what whoever is watching this has heard from the two of us. It is 100% truthful. It's the truth.
yeah,
Absolute truth.
Our experiences.
As true as the three of us are standing here together with each other right now. It's just that real, that true.
Yep.
There's more. I just wish I could remember it all. There were lots of things. I wish we could have recorded those experiences. We were never successful in being able to do it. Just whatever this was, wouldn't let you do it. You were there to witness that.
Yep.
Wouldn't let you do it. You could scribble notes all you want, talk about it, but you're not going to get it on tape. It would not let you do it. And we tried. I tried before.
Yeah, you tried to
Yeah.
capture it on the audio tape.
I did. No success.
I remember kind of laughing at myself as me and Jen would be sitting in bed watching like a ghost hunter thing, and I'd be like,
These guys
"You're
are so
doing it
easily
wrong.
scared."
You're not gonna catch them. Ghosts don't work that way. It's not gonna let you record it, dummy. It's like I know anything about what happened. Like I'm some authority on whatever the hell this was.
Well, but
You amateurs, you just don't get
It
it.
happened exactly. That's what happened to you. And the thing is, was it a ghost? I don't even know. That's a term.
Some intelligent energy is all I can say.
Some intelligent energy. If that is, if you want to call that ghost, okay, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Do I think it's something that had died? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
the
just
answer
know I
to that.
experienced it.
I do know that it's something from some other plane of existence, some other dimension, for lack of a better term. It's something from there, and revealing itself to the extent that it can
Degrees, yeah.
to us
Yeah.
in small degrees. And I'm so grateful that we got to see that for that time that we did. I like you, I kind of wish that if there was anything to be physically seen, I would have loved that. But maybe it's just totally impossible. I mean, I just don't know.
Maybe.
For whatever this was. And I don't know, maybe maybe it's extraterrestrial. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but intelligent and definitely intelligent. And sense of humor. Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say? There
Big
was a
time.
sense of humor there. And that's really interesting to me. It wasn't just totally random.
It was purposeful.
Very purposeful and intentional with almost everything it did. We probably missed a lot of things. We probably missed a lot of cues that we could have picked up, and we probably just,
They might have been just too subtle.
yeah, so subtle that we just missed them. And maybe there was stuff being given to us that would have allowed more to be seen, and we just weren't smart enough to pick up on it at the time, or aware enough to pick up on it at the time, so that more could be revealed to us. But it was pretty fantastic, really fantastic. Anyway, that's our little bit, and it happened. It's the only time that's ever happened to me in my lifetime, is that studio experience, and I'm glad we got to share it. Did you ever think something like that would happen to you?
No.
Me
I
neither.
could never imagine.
Never. Never thought in a million years that would happen. And I know most people won't believe a word of it, and that's okay. That's all right, that's fine. We know it's true. Crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy. I wish other folks would have had the opportunity to see this. I wish everyone had the opportunity to see this.
Well, I mean, several did outside of the three of us.
Yes, little bits, not like what we saw.
Enough to scare them off.
Bits and pieces, huh?
Yeah.
Enough to scare them off.
off. You didn't get scared off, but
No.
you did have some stuff revealed to you that day.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
Oh yeah.
that camera upside down. If that doesn't do it, I don't know what. And none of us were near it.
No.
We were all on the other side.
Yeah,
And
opposite side of
what's
the
it
room.
doing over there?
I can't imagine how you would
That was a really neat
achieve that
experience.
kind of
It was just
balance.
impossible.
An impossible
It was
experience.
Weight distribution.
Yeah. That is not
Right.
something that is physically possible.
Nope.
It's
You
outside
have
the
to
bounds
superglue the
of
thing
normal
down.
laws
But
of physics.
as quick as it happened, no, that's not possible.
It's just, it isn't.
I would have seen something. I was sitting right damn there.
You were
facing
right
it.
there.
I wasn't looking at it, of course. I was looking down at a magazine.
But still,
It's like it nearly.
nanosecond. See what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we are trapped in this physical body and in this particular space-time thing.
I could just picture this entity saying, you know, this one's going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to slow down time even a little bit more to get this thing right.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
But man, it's like, and for us, it's like, I mean, you know how much time we spent to this thing doing it.
They took an hour.
It took me an hour and a half, but it only took nanoseconds for us, you know?
Mhm.
That's kind of how it is. That's
Mhm.
kind of how it is. How do you can't explain it in normally understood terms. Scientists would scoff and laugh at it
Oh yeah.
because this is outside the realm of it, of what we understand about science anyway,
So far.
so far.
Yeah.
But there may be one day some sort of explanation. Hope so.
That'd be cool.
It would be, but currently there isn't, because it's breaking all the laws as we understand them. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you do that? I mean, things don't move by themselves.
I really don't know
without
what to say
any
about it.
locomotion, any ability to move that isn't a living, it's an inanimate object. It doesn't have blood coursing through its veins, or any of that, you know. There's metal things that some guy created. It's not a robot. It's a static object. It doesn't move by itself. Oh yeah, it does. In some circumstances. Because it's being moved by something that we can't detect with our senses. What can you say to that? It's true.
Weird.
It's very miraculous, really. It's just stunning, because we don't have a good word to describe what it is. It's just phenomenal, really.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
I thought of another thing that happened.
Okay?
The lid to the ice chest had cup holders built into it,
That's right.
and they were full of gesso one time.
That's right. They had been filled up with gesso. I remember, and that pissed me off, because it wasted a ton of gesso.
Right, yeah.
It really ticked me off. He said, "Dadgummit!" And all
Your
this
primer.
gesso was filled.
Yeah,
the
up to the
primer had
top.
filled the cup holders on the ice chest. It screwed with us a lot. Now that I think about it, didn't it? It really did screw with us. I'm saying, you know, it did. It did. I don't know how else to put it. And man, it was during that period of time we were really on a roll with 72 Virgins that we were painting, and all that stuff was happening. I wondered if it was somehow related. I don't think it was at all. It just happenstance. I think it had more to do
with us.
I think it had to do with us. It had to do with something in our energy, is what it had to do with.
We were summoning something.
I don't know what in the world that was, but there's something peculiar about, yeah. Man, she's digging you big time. Look at her. She's laying her sleeping, man. She's as relaxed as could be. I hope you're not frightened of this vicious beast.
Oh,
I mean, she is pretty aggressive, man.
oh yeah, I can tell.
Settle-
Practically rabid.
Nikki, settle down, okay? Would you just take it easy here? Don't scare my friends like that. You shouldn't do that. Be nice. I want you to chill out a little bit. She's such a sweet girl. Remember something else?
No, I was just thinking, one wonders if an animal who might have a certain sensitivity
I know.
might have responded to what was going
I
on.
would love to have had her
Interesting.
there during all that time, and just to see how she might.
Hmm?
Yeah, would she pick up something? They probably can. Well, they can hear things beyond our ability.
Our
They can
frequencies.
smell things
Yeah,
way
oh,
beyond,
incredible
way
back
beyond our
sense.
ability. And you, who knows on other sensory planes what they're able to pick up. She looking at you, man. Look at that. What a little turd.
Oh,
I'm surprised I haven't had to switch out the battery. It's down to 8% now, but
Okay.
it is.
Well, we went pretty long and got repetitive. I'm sure you'll have
That's-
to
that's
edit
fine.
some stuff. That's gonna take you some time.
I just plan on piecing them together.
Well, when you piece
Be
them
perfectly
together, because you don't want it to be too long.
Why not?
Well, that's up to you. You can put it out there. We got repetitive, and but that's going to show them that we didn't script this. We didn't plan it out and write up a plan of attack to do it. We
No.
just started at the beginning, and we didn't go in sequence either, except for the very beginning. The rest of it was bits and pieces we remember from different points.
had the activity been less, then we might remember things in order.
There's
Yeah, I'm trying to.
we had so many things.
Please behave, camera.
Your lens cap isn't on that, is it?
It better not be.
Because that would
no.
suck.
No, 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 it's
Okay,
not.
good. I just thought I'd check with you.
No, I have the screen
That
in the
would
back.
really suck, wouldn't it?
Everything looks fine.
Oh, baby doll.
I keep hitting
Nice to Mr. Andy. You being a good girl to Mr. Andy. Yeah.
like the camera's only shut off once, and I think that's an overheating issue.
Really?
But it has stopped recording several times. Let's see,
Yeah.
we go to record to standby, and I think that might be a file size limit for the file type I'm using on here. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that when I get home.
Okay. Well,
But
I have to think. I'm trying to think of some other things that might have occurred. I am just glad, Rick, that you got to see a little bit.
yep, I can
the
confirm.
day you were there to try to record, because I was afraid nothing would happen at all, and in which case you would leave kind of going, yeah, whatever. But we didn't make any of it up, and then I think you knew at that moment that we hadn't made up any of the
Oh, yeah.
stuff. That was for real.
Made a believer out of me.
And I'm sure, being the skeptic that you are,
Yep.
you would have exhausted your brain power to figure out how that would have happened.
Oh, I examined the hell out of the room. I'm looking for anything.
Anything. Yeah.
Anything out of place.
A wire, electrical buttons, anything. There was nothing.
No.
Nothing, because we didn't do anything. She's enjoying my elbow for some reason. And I'm sure you would have looked at your camera and tripod and all that stuff and realized that you can't explain how that happened.
Nope.
None of us can.
I just gave up. I tried those 3 times, and I was
Yeah.
saying, this isn't going to happen.
And there's plenty of people out there who would try to do that and really try to figure that out. And they're not gonna come up with a plausible answer at all that is explainable. Are they? I mean, they're just not. It defies our normal understanding of the laws that we exist under. It defies those rules, operates outside of them. That's what's so fascinating.
Yeah.
How do you, we take for granted that space-time is this, it's fixed and that's all there is to it. Boy, are we wrong. And that makes me realize that just what is time anyway? Is that's a construct that we've created for ourselves to exist in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Time. What is it
It's,
really?
helping you understand,
Yeah,
you know,
progression
the
of
process
movement,
of,
life, of living,
Yeah.
of life. And so it helps us make sense of that world. When something happens that turns that on its head, you can't make sense of that world anymore completely. Do you know? We can't explain all that stuff that happened
No.
in things that we know and understand about the physical world.
it's down to 4%.
Can't do it, or you're about gone.
It's going to die pretty soon. I mean, I do have other other batteries if you.
Oh, no,
If you had more to say.
You could probably zip these together and edit. If you take time with it, you'll probably find areas where, they've already said this. Because I went on and on and on about
That's
the same thing over and over.
That's
I don't
fine.
even know how many times. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no. I think it just shows our enthusiasm for this
Well,
Yeah.
we lived it.
series of
My God, we lived
events.
it. It's not something you can make up. I mean,
Man, I could keep talking about it all night.
I wish you could.
Paul, even more.
I know. We really sat here and thought about it. Yeah, there's a lot more
Some
things
things
we
are gonna
would
come.
remember. Like I had forgotten about the wine bottle roll.
I forgot about the pain on my face.
The pain on your
Oh,
face, yes,
wow.
exactly. Remember that?
Oh, God.
That trash can. Pop, 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 pop. Poor Yvette. See, we thought, the reason I said that about Yvette, I hope she doesn't get offended if she happens to see it. Fairy princess. I don't think of her as a fairy princess. I love Yvette. But you understand what I mean. You know, she
She
you
seems
understand
to
what I
be
mean.
more in tune to those kinds
To
of
those
things.
kinds of things,
So
but it's-
therefore, you wouldn't necessarily
Exactly.
expect the kind of action.
Exactly, sort of a pagan
But it
mistress
was-
of the
it
woods
really-
or something, you know,
It
that's
had
how I see
a
Yvette.
strong effect on her.
But
That's for
she
sure.
is, it freaked her out, scared the shit out of her is what it did. So she has a definite pragmatic side and it scared the crap out of her sensibility. She didn't want any part of it, it scared her too much. And so she just left the studio, that was it, that was her last day, she's done. She didn't even come back, you guys could keep this, you could keep that, she didn't even take everything. So we kept, do you know I still have that refrigerator in my current studio? And it
Oh.
still works.
Wow.
The door is all rusty now, it's getting all nasty looking.
That still works.
But I still have it, still works, still cools.
It'd be cool if
2%.
it was open.
I still have it. I often wonder, is this thing gonna open and close on me? It hasn't yet. It hasn't yet. It hasn't. Yeah, maybe you should pop over for a visit one day.
See?
Go over there, we'll have lunch and we'll see if that thing opens. Wouldn't that be something? Whew.
Come on, for old time's sake.
Yeah, old time's sake. Are you there? No, I'm not hearing anything. You hear anything? No, not hearing anything. All of a sudden, Nikki goes, "Woo! Oh, oh God!"
The dog starts
I had
saying,
forgotten about that. Oh God, I forgot about that. It said that a lot.
oh, God.
I know.
Came out different
It
inflections.
did. Different inflection.
1%.
Okay.
If you guys want to keep going, I do have to swap the battery. It's up to
Oh.
you. Up to
No, we're
you.
good. Well, we can keep going, but that's up to you, Rick. But I think we've got the gist of the major things that we can remember. But I know there are a lot more things. What is that? Did we talk about an hour?
Oh, more than that, I think.
Oh, more than an hour. Oh, good Lord. Sorry.
Awesome.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
I
You
love
probably have more than they'll ever want to see. And like I said, half of that's probably repetitive.
I'm just
But
gonna.
it's like the more we talk about it, the more it spurs on another memory.
I'm gonna swap the battery real quick.
Right, go ahead.
It's back on again on the new. There's a fresh battery in
Okay,
there.
I know what
so.
Rick wants to hear, but you have to say it.
What?
Didn't we ask a question of Howard one day? What is it that he likes? And
Oh.
what did he say? I'm not gonna answer that one.
Pizza and pussy.
That's what he said. I told you, sense of humor. This, whatever this was, had a sense of humor. That's a mess.
Oh, that's
No one would believe it. We didn't make that stuff up.
We've heard worse from it.
We've had worse, or we did hear worse. But that is funny, though. It is funny because you wouldn't expect to hear that out of thin air. Crazy. So crazy.
Well, he would say the word pizza a lot.
Pizza.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Pizza, pizza.
Pizza.
It's like pizza, pizza.
Yeah. That's too funny. Oh, God.
Oh,
That is
God.
too funny. There were just so many things. So many things. What else? What else was it? I do recall some things being tossed, but I never saw. Oh, she's got a bad mat there. Real bad. That's got to get calmed down. Did you get that, baby? She's probably going to whine and cry now. I don't have you yet, baby. Here we go. Let's get it. There we go. No, not yet. Almost. Almost got it. Let's get it. Let's get it, sweetie. She's very soft, but she gets these mats real.
One of my cats gets a lot of them.
She gets them. Yeah, they're bad.
He's got long fur.
Yeah. Well, that's,
She's
oh,
all
look
tangled
at
up.
that, right there, right there. Look at that, right there and there.
My grandmother's
I gotta
dog
snip
was
those.
a Cairn Terrier, and he always.
Yeah, she's got real bad ones. I'm gonna have to cut those out. They're bad.
No.
But,
Oh dear.
I'm glad though that you got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were there, what, 30 minutes, an hour maybe?
Oh, I was there over an hour. Yeah.
An hour or so, and just in that amount of time, you got exposed to a lot of stuff. I only regret that you were sitting on the couch facing the door instead of the whole time looking at the refrigerator area back where Andy is and where that whole section where we paint. I wonder if it even would have done anything if you were.
Well, I mean, I turned right around as soon as I would hear something, and then it was already open or closed again.
Yeah, it did it like this, like that. That's what happened. Both times, or 2-3 times it happened like that. Like that.
Yeah, very rapid.
And you know, we go, oh, we get excited thinking we got it on tape. And
You know, it was a really
lights
strong
off, cameras turn. Soon as the second one, it is.
because like I said, you'd hear glass containers knocking against
Knocking on each other. Yeah, that's right, you would hear
you
it.
know, in the door.
And then it would slam like that. I knew there was no way you were getting a second of tape when it was just turned 90 degrees toward the wall.
Yeah.
I knew it's all over. You could try again, but it's done. It's not gonna let you do it. And, I mean, it was almost like, don't you get it?
Yeah.
To move the whole thing upside down with the damn things like that and the lens pointing toward the door. That is like, what is it about no that you don't understand?
Exactly.
Had another,
right? That's
had another
what it
effort
was.
been attempted, I'm sure the thing would have just disappeared from the room
It
and dropped
probably
it
would
outside.
have taken the camera, thrown it against the wall, and rolled all the legs off if we did it again. I really think so.
Yeah, I figured I might as well just stop. 'Cause I'm
Might
not
as
gonna
well
catch it,
stop.
you know?
It's gonna break. It's not gonna hurt us.
No.
But it would
I just
destroy
wanted to
that.
break the camera.
It would destroy your camera for sure. Right? I'm sure it would.
Pour gesso on it.
Yeah, I can't. Man, that pissed me off. All that wasted gesso. Who does that? Filled up the holes in the ice chest. Give me a break. Oh, what a mess. I told Anna that we were meeting tonight. She goes, oh, you are? Yes, we're gonna. My son wanted to tape us. I told her the experiences we had at the because that came up today, and it's funny that came up today, and here we are
Oh.
doing this.
Wow.
Isn't that a coincidence? And so here we are doing it, and I hope you have a good tape because that will make good information for a book, potentially.
Yeah.
Some of it.
A movie.
Watch. I mean, everything looks normal so far. Watch me get home and like all the files are corrupt for some reason. You know, like,
That would not surprise me.
I tested it. I tested the new card and everything. Like I was taking pictures. I was taking video. I put it in the computer. I played them back. And everything was fine.
I have an audio, but I need to find the file. I have an audio of us talking and ruminating over this.
Yeah.
A
About
couple
5
of years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah,
a few years
came
ago,
over
we got
and we
together and we did it. We just talked it because I didn't want to lose the info. So there may be stuff on that audio that we didn't mention for the video. Not that it's going to help you, but it would help us in terms of the memory for a book or something down the road, a movie or something. If someone did a movie, it would be boring as hell.
Yeah.
In the sense that it isn't a spooky location.
No, it's a rather warm feeling.
The
room.
building is a little creepy,
But the
lit,
studio,
but not bad. The
good
studio
light.
is brightly lit,
Yeah.
white walls, clean,
It's not
tons of
scary at
light.
all.
Not scary at the least. One way in, one way out, and you had one window, the north-facing window.
Did you guys have any closing thoughts or anything like that?
Closing thoughts?
I mean,
Hey, I don't know, did we, all I can say is that what happened in that studio was real. We can't say with any sort of certainty what it was. I have a reluctance to say ghost in the purest sense of the word, but very clearly it was some sort of paranormal, intelligent entity, presence of some kind that clearly had intention. And it revealed itself to us in our dimension, even though it operated in some other, and was able to insert itself into ours. Why? We have no clue as to why. And it was magnified many times when we were together, which is bizarre. Now, nothing like that has happened tonight.
No.
As far as I can tell, unless there's something weird stacked in a pile someplace.
Something I'm just not noticing.
That we didn't notice. Yeah, is there something we didn't notice? And she seems to be all over you, so. In fact, she goes, man, give me some of that pizza, man. No, little girl, she hasn't even eaten. I don't think she's gonna have to. Hey, Jenny,
Yeah,
would you mind throwing a little food in Nikki's bowl, honey?
yeah, I'll be here. Kitty, no.
That's the cat. Her cat is a punk, man, that cat. He's a punk. He really is, man. He'll kick your
Well, he
ass.
was trying to sneak out, but I was putting them in there.
Oh, okay.
it's getting silly now. I should probably,
Yeah.
unless y'all had anything else, like I'll probably just.
Okay. You have anything to add as far as
I think so.
concluding
It was
comments?
just a really, really cool
Yeah. Wasn't it
couple of
great?
years,
An amazing experience.
thereabouts.
Wouldn't you, I mean, everything we've said is 100% true.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
it
stuff
is.
happened.
It happened. There's no need for us to make it up. We've got better things to do with our lives than to have any sort of notoriety around something like that. But it happened. What do you do with that? Either pretend it didn't, or you just speak the truth about it. And that's all we've done tonight, is try our best to at least relate many of the, or some of the events that occurred. Some of these things we described occurred many times. So, we're not gonna relate every time that happened. Hundreds of times. So, at least. And it was something else. It was just unbelievable.
I'm really glad I was able to get the two of you together to talk about this.
Yeah,
So-
I'm glad you were here too, and I'm glad that you got to experience some of it when you were trying to tape it,
Yeah.
and without success.
Yep. Unfortunately,
But you tried.
I did try.
You did.
But,
That was an amazing experience.
I want to, again, of course, thank you both. And
My pleasure.
anybody that happens to be watching or just listening with it minimized, I don't know. If you made it this far, hey, thanks for listening. And I don't know, if you have your own weird stories to share them.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's right.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys later.
See you later.
All right. Bye.